Alright, good morning Pro Golf Nation. We're back for round two. Hope everybody enjoyed the last video. I got my man Smallz in here again. We are going to look at a couple of balls today and kind of see what the numbers read. Again, we're going to be bringing to you everything on the Ballflight by Optishot. Strange brewing hand, of course. What we're going to be looking at today is kind of everybody's favorite golf ball. Again, #1 ball in golf, the Titleist Pro V1X. But then we're going to bring up the new one, everybody's hot ball, if you will. If it's too bright, sorry. The Volvik. Again, these things, man, they probably should come with batteries or sunglasses, something, because they'll hurt your eyes. But we're going to look at what is the feedback that we get from the launch monitor as we hit some shots. Grant's going to hit 3 drivers today. With each ball. I'm going to hit 3 shots today with each ball, and we're going to compare them and then look at something at the end. We are going to use our own clubs today, so Grant, you're using a, there you go, Titleist 915 D3 with 8.5 degree in the A4 setting. All right, dude, bombs away.
Here we go. Tug on that.
Grant, what ball do you play?
I play Titleist Pro V1.
Okay. There it is. To be fair, we did work on Grant's swing before the video today, so he's got some changes he's trying to make. Shot 3 here. One thing I do notice here is obviously consistent ball speed, 154, 151, 155. We were just having this conversation. Grant swings the club at about 100 miles an hour with a driver, and average ball speed's normally in the 150 to 155 range. All right, first shot with the little red pellet. Shot 1. Shot 2. Grant, any triggers in the brain right now when you're looking down at this thing that obviously jumps out and stands out to you over a Pro V1 white ball, what you've played your whole life growing up? Anything?
Nothing that's, I mean, other than just the color. I mean, it's obviously a little bit brighter, contrast more. I think the white Pro V gives us a little bit more of just a relaxed, natural, because that's what we've always hit. This seems like a little bit of something different, almost like a glow-in-the-dark ball, if you will. If you've ever hit one of those, you feel like you got to hit a club more. It doesn't necessarily change my swing, but it also makes me feel like I'm hitting something that's a little heavier. Just something that I look at and I see, I'm like, oh man, it looks like a thicker, heavier ball that I'm having hit. So I'm really not necessarily trying to get after it more. I just feel like I'm going to feel that impact a little bit more when I hit it.
Okay. Question for you: when you play, do you focus your eyes or eye specifically on a particular part of the ball?
No, I pretty much just use my peripheral.
Okay.
It's kind of where I look at the area of the ball and just kind of naturally go back and swing from a feel standpoint versus a pinpoint, aim small, miss small type of mentality. I just look at the picture of the ball there more and try to hit that versus a specific spot.
And still able to do that with the Volvik?
Right.
Okay. All right. We got one more with the Volvik. Grant got into that one. All right, so what we see here, just to run through the numbers, Grant, again, like I said, averaging 153.5 with the Pro V1, 154.8 with the Volvik. Some of that may be swing, some of it may be ball. Average yardage with the Pro V, 242 yards carry. 257.8 total. And then carry average with the Volvik, 257.5, 275.5. Hey, Grant, you just picked up 10 yards of carry and 20 yards of total distance, Pro V1 to Volvik. Why?
That's a great question. It looks like there may have been a little bit difference in Ballflight, launch angle,
Okay.
the way I came into those balls, so that may have been something that came with the swings or whatever that happened to be. But you know, and it may be what we talked about earlier about just feeling like that's a heavier ball, like I need to hit it a little harder, maybe try it a little bit more at the end, trying to get into the ball versus just something smooth with something normal like the Pro V.
All right. Let's look at what the numbers tell us. So the average launch angle on the Pro V was 11.5, average launch angle on the Volvik 10.1. So launch angle is actually better with the Pro V, but look at the spin rate, guys. Average spin rate on the Pro V1, 31,032. On the Volvik, 2,600. We had this conversation before we were on camera, Grant. If we were to drop 500 revs off of a driver, that's a big average increase in your total distance. Ball's not going to come out and shoot up into the air and then drop out of the sky. So if we can get him launching at 12 degrees, 2,500 spin, that's optimum for 155 mile an hour ball speed. We see with the Volvik, it actually spins a little bit less, so it stays in the air a little bit longer. We get that nice little rollout. So that's the target numbers we're looking for.
All right, Bobby's going to take a few swings here with the Pro V. Starting first and then going into the Volvik. What are we swinging today, Bobby?
All right, I was spit for this beginning of last season or end of last season. I've got the Cobra F8 Plus. I set it at 8 degrees of launch, I believe it is, with the fitting, and I'm swinging the Fujikura Atmos X Flex Tour. This is not based on being a good player. This is fitting to a flaw. So my tendency is to spin the ball a little bit too much on average. So I play the NXT Tour because it spins a little bit lower than the Pro V and Pro V1X. But for today's fitting, I am going to hit the Pro V, so we'll see what happens to my spin numbers as we do that. You know, something to point out, Grant, that I thought was interesting. I asked you visually what you look at. We're very different in that aspect. I find a dimple that is just on my side of center, and I focus on just that dimple. So it'll be interesting to see if I can still pick up that with the Volvik. Yeah. For me, that's because I always want to try to hit a little bit inside of the ball with the driver because I like to see it turn over inside, turn over to the left. So.
Got a nice little draw there. All right, now Bobby, after swinging 3 with the Pro V1, tell me what your thoughts are after that and before you hit the Volvik.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 swings were obviously better swings for me. I was able to hit the inside of the ball, and I think that's why we'll see the spin rate probably dropped off of it. It just looks like it did compared to the first swing. I've always been Titleist guy. I always played Titleist ball. You know, you laugh at me at the beginning of every video. It's going to be the only ball in golf, Titleist. But I like that the Titleist ball performs well and consistently. So I've kind of always been that way. The Volvik for me, I've never really hit one, so this will actually be my first swing with the Volvik.
Awesome. Well, let's see what happens. Ready for liftoff. Shot 1 with the Volvik.
All right, so my first initial reaction, guys, like I told you, was I tend to try to find a spot on the ball, a dimple. I can't see the dimple pattern from up here, so I will, when I'm teeing it up, I'll probably put it to where I've got, whether it's a lettering or the number or something on the inside so that I can see it, because right now I'm unable to find that dimple that I normally like to see. Drop kick.
Well, after the first shot, Bobby, tell me what your thoughts are swinging at the Volvik.
Kind of see the thought of the matte finish does make it seem like maybe, like we talked about, like you talked about with the glow in the dark ball, being that heavier ball, so you feel like you got to get into it a little bit more. For me, on the first swing, again, I struggled to maybe find the spot of the ball that I wanted to hit. So I did come into it, drop kick it, some of that swing, but I'll put it on that anyway. Probably my best swing of the day.
Talk about those 3 shots right there with the Volvik, Bobby.
Yeah, it's ironic to me that it seemed like as I progressed from swing 1 to swing 2 to swing 3, I did get a little bit more comfortable looking at it, kind of figuring out where I wanted to hit, how I wanted to swing, and the numbers, as you saw, I actually got a little bit better as it went along too. I could game it. I mean, I'm a flashy guy anyway, so that's kind of the thing. I'd like to see what the numbers do, but as I got more comfortable swinging, the more swings, I was able to line the club up a little bit better to it, put a better swing on it.
Let's get into the data and let's see what's happening.
All right, so as we can see, my swing on number C, or letter C, if you will, was the Pro V1, average ball speed 152.9. With an average carry distance of 255 and an average total distance of 271.5. We switched to the Volvik. Ironically, the average ball speed went down to 149.7. A lot of that, as you can see, is going to be that first swing that was at 141, where I drop kicked it and took a lot of the speed off of it. But total carry 255.0 and 269. So for 3 swings and 3 swings, I guess that was pretty consistent. 255, 255, 270, 270. Launch angles, both of them, 14.5, 14.6. Spin rate on the Volvik, again, just like Grant, went down from 2,500 spin to 2,400 spin. So not as much difference in Grant on the spin numbers. But all in all, pretty consistent on the way the numbers played out for me.
Is that not 2276
yep.
and 23? So actually, it went up.
All right. So yeah, all right. So my spin rate numbers actually went up on the Volvik from the Pro V1 from 22.76 to 23.95. Both of which, for my numbers, my ball speed is going to be again in the 255 range. My launch angle in the 14 and a half range. So my optimum spin rate is going to be in the low 2000s, mid 2000s. So again, guys, I am a proponent for this. You're going to hear me say this in every video. If you guys are going to go out and spend a bunch of money on a driver, find a custom fitter that you trust and get fit. I went down and got fit for this club to try to optimize what I was working with. I've got things to work on in my swing just like everybody else, but for me, something that I can launch at 14 degrees and spin at 2400 RPMs, 2600 RPMs on average is going to give me the best chance to hit fairways and hit them at a distance that I'll be able to play a short iron into my par 4s and score. So again, the standard deviation when you're looking at your numbers when you get fit for a driver is more important than that top line number. Everybody wants to hit the long ball, everybody wants to get faster, but if I can hit one that carries at 255 3 times in a row and rolls out to 270 3 times in a row, then we're able to go out and play golf and score. So the whole idea behind this test was to play a premium golf ball, Titleist Pro V1, and then to play a ball that maybe we don't see as premium. It's not the TP5, it's not the Pro V1, it's not the Chrome Soft. It's a second level, less expensive ball. Okay? When we're looking at the driver numbers like we did, what we saw with Grant and my numbers was consistency, right? There wasn't a whole big load of change in how the ball performed as far as the ball speed. Mine was exactly the same on my 6 swings, 155. Grant's, yours went from what, 152 to 155. So again, very, very little differences when we're hitting it off the driver. But let's be honest, most of us out there are going to hit the driver to get to our second shot. Where we really wanted to worry about spin rate and how the ball is performing is when we're hitting those scoring clubs, those short irons, those wedges into greens, and see what happens from there. So let's do this again. I think we're each going to take our pitching wedge. We're going to hit off the mat, and let's see what we see in the number difference from the Premium Pro V1 to the Volvik. All right, Grant.
All right, so I'm hitting here the 710 AP2, so a little bit older of a club. Had these for a little while and really enjoyed them. My second set of Titleist irons I've ever had, so I've really enjoyed them. But we're going to hit this Titleist and see what the spin rate does and see what kind of action we get out of a golf ball. So here we go. I tell you, the thing about the Pro V1 is just a feel that I had with the golf ball. It seems to be soft, it seems to be smooth. I don't feel like I'm hitting a rock, I don't feel like I'm hitting anything, but just attacking the ball and the ball performing the way I want it to perform. So I've hit this ball quite often. I play with this golf ball. So just in the initial feelings before I get to the Volvik, the Titleist ball seems very comfortable, very fitting. I don't feel like I'm hitting anything hard. I feel like it's really reacting off the face and doing what I want it to do. So after 3 shots, it was pretty much what I felt like it was going to be, which was a smooth ball that I got to hit. I didn't hit it as well on the last shot, so I hit a little thin, so it felt like I tugged it a little bit and didn't get quite the spin or the action that I wanted. But I feel like the overall concept that we thought that the Titleist would have is exactly what it was and what it felt like. So let's hit this Volvik.
Grant, is the soft feel of the Titleist, do you feel like it maybe gives you that instant feedback of where the ball is heading?
It does, and it gives me a little bit more of a feel that I know that I've hit a ball and it's going to react on the green or near the green where I've hit it. So when I hit that and I feel it, I feel like I have a instant feel that I've hit the ball well or I've hit the ball poor based on how the softness of the ball is, and then also feeling the same thing when I hit it. I know how it's going to react on the green based on how I hit it. So I have a big feel to the Pro V.
Initial feel difference?
Yeah, I feel like that it's a much harder ball. It feels to me a harder ball. I got probably more feedback from the Volvik than I did the Titleist. May have been how I hit it. Could have been that way. I felt like I hit it a little thin, but at the same time, it felt like a harder golf ball, even with the miss with the Titleist. When I hit the Volvik, I missed it as well, and I felt a little more feedback from the Volvik in a negative way because I didn't hit it as well. So.
All right, so as we can see, with Grant with a pitching wedge in his hand on the Pro V1, average ball speed 93.8, launch angle 23 degrees, average carry about 115, total distance 116, spin rate average is 9,700. Tour average is when we switch to the Volvik, we actually see the launch angle goes up a little bit. Again, launch angle is going to be based on based on swing. Ball speed's 106. Total carry distance 118. Total distance 120, and the spin rate again at 97.77 on the pitching wedge. So numbers pretty consistent, maybe a little bit less spin on the Pro V1. Some of that may have been swing. I don't know, Grant, you tell me, did you feel like the swings with the Volvik or the Pro V1 were better, more on target swings?
I felt like I hit the last two Volvik shots on the inside of the club. It pushed the ball right on me, but I felt like I hit those well. I didn't get a lot of negative feedback. I felt like those were solid contact. I feel like I hit it on the inside of the face. So there was probably a lot of spin to those. To probably why I launched it a little higher on that. If we hit 10 more shots, it may give us a little bit better idea. But from the short data that we have right now, I feel like the Volvik ball is a little heavier ball. I feel like it gives a little bit more negative feedback than the Titleist ball does, and I feel like the Titleist ball just feels soft, even with a mishit, with any negative feedback that we may get. It feels like that. From a visual standpoint, again, like at the driver, I look at an area to hit the ball, not a spot. It does glow. It does, catch your eye a little bit. It's not necessarily aim small, hit small, but I feel like it was very similar to the driver, where you just hit the area of the ball and move on. So.
One thing to remember too, guys, when we're inside hitting off of a mat, it is going to take some spin off of it. That's just natural. The club doesn't really catch the turf and drive down as much, so you will have a little bit less spin when you're doing these fittings on a mat, when you're doing iron fittings, when you're practicing on a mat. Just remember, you will generate a little bit more spin off of your grass turf than you will off the mat. So.
All right, Bobby, before you hit these first shots with the Titleist ball, what are your thoughts and comparison before you hit the ball?
Before I hit the ball, I just feel like I'm probably going to get some more consistency out of the Titleist. Just less variance, just because of the premium ball. The cover on the Titleist probably is going to feel a little bit softer than it does on the Volvik, but we'll see how it goes.
Bobby, talk about those three shots with the Titleist golf ball.
Yeah, obviously for me, swing's inconsistent right now. It's late January where we are, so we hadn't been working on the swing very much. But the thing I love about this Titleist ball is what you mentioned earlier, kind of the soft feel off the face. It's a little springier. I just feel like when I make good contact, the ball jumps off the face. It's super hot. I don't hear that click that you do off of some other balls. And again, the performance is normally pretty consistent if the swing is. So.
All right, let's take a look at this Volvik golf ball. Bobby, how about some quick feedback on that first shot?
Yeah, definitely, like you said, similar to your feedback a minute ago. Harder feeling ball, clickier sound. You definitely get the feedback on where you hit it on the face, maybe a little bit better than some of the other softer cover balls. That one for me was slightly on the toe. I could feel it as soon as I hit it. Honestly, I was expecting it to be further left than it ended up being. So other than that, looked okay at the ground. I was able to pinpoint and figure out where I want to hit the ball. Like I said, if nothing else, the biggest feedback I got is feedback. You feel it on the face, definitely. So
let's take shot number 2.
So I spent last video bragging on my buddies Garrett and Trevor from Optishot on a great machine that they've developed here. I got to pick out something to nitpick for them. Look at the screen here in the kill zone. That is obviously not a white ball that we're hitting. So something to think about. Garrett, Trevor, you got something to improve on, I think.
Well struck. Well, let's take a look at the numbers.
All right, of course, my numbers are F and G. We see a carry distance on the Pro V1 of 118 with a total carry out of 120. Volvik 116 with 119, so not a big difference there. Ball speed, again, ironically, my ball speed dropped from the Pro V1 to the Volvik pretty considerably, almost 10 miles an hour. But you can see the club head speed didn't change much, so a lot of that was going to be, centeredness of contact. How well did I hit the ball? The big point out that I had is if you're looking at those numbers, for me, the Volvik spun in the 7,000s. If you look at the top right corner here, my last spin was 7,300. Before that, 7,485. And then before that, I had a 9,000. But very inconsistent. Lots and lots of dispersion there. Where if you looked at the Pro V1, I was at 97, 96, and then one at 11,000 spin. So there's a little bit there, but a lot more consistency with the spin rate and a lot more of what I would want to see on a pitching wedge. That 7,300, if I'm going to a back pin and I land at pin high, is probably not going to hold the green, where a 9,700 spin is. So ironic to see that Grant maybe didn't have a huge disparity or not a big dispersion in his numbers going from the Pro V1 to the Volvik, where I had a pretty big difference. Again, some of that's going to be club head. The smuck swinging here isn't putting the same swing on every time. But for me, that's going to be the big difference when you look at a premium ball like a TP5, like a Chrome Soft or a Titleist Pro V1, is consistency. And consistency where it counts, around the greens, spinning the ball when it counts the most. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please click the thumbs up. Consider subscribing below, and look for our next video.